Hello and welcome back to True Crime Guys Podcast. I'm Lauren.
And I'm Michael.
We're back.
After Christmas.
How was Christmas, people?
Or holidays.
Hope you enjoyed it. We can't hear you as you answer this to your radio or to your headphones.
Right, so please keep it down.
Yeah. Tweet us, I guess, how your Christmas was, or don't.
Don't scream it. Mine was great at work. It'd be weird.
The best. I got exactly what I wanted.
That's good. That's good to hear.
New Year's is coming. It's the end of 2017.
It is. We'll get this episode
By the time
out.
you hear this, it's probably going to be the future 2018. The future.
I don't know. I'll try to get it out before New Year's.
Flying cars around yet, guys?
2018? Probably not.
I doubt it.
We're just going to be lucky to have the fuel to run the cars we have.
Jetsons. Meet the Jetsons. Yeah, we're in a hell of a mood tonight.
We are. We're recording late. So
old school. We used to do it every Thursday night late.
Yeah, remember back when our podcast really sucked more? It sucked more. So we were like, oh, it sucked then. Let's go try to do that again.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Plus I'm sick.
Yeah.
So that's good stuff.
Nice
so if I sound all nasally.
Hey guys, how you doing?
You sound a little nasally.
Yeah.
It's not crazy, but you do sound a little
If I
nasally.
cough, if I go into a coughing fit, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, I'll just talk over you.
Luckily, it's going to be a short and sweet episode. Not sweet, actually. It's horrific.
This is our horrific episode.
Yeah, there's not a lot of jokes to be had here.
It's just funny the way you brought that in.
We've had a few of these where they were just depressing, sad episodes.
Nobody likes kids killing kids, man. With the Shanda share.
Some people like it, though.
Well, I mean,
we get a lot of positive feedback on the negative shit.
The sick bastards like to hear it.
Yeah, the Kipling Kinkle, depressing ones.
Yeah.
There's the goofy ones for those people that like that, and then some people like the real creepy side. It's true crime, man.
It's true crime. We cover it all. We don't discriminate.
Right.
This is going to be one of those ones. If you don't like killing kids, then don't listen to this one.
Right. Kids killing kids, coming on up.
That's right.
Right after the break.
Question. You convinced him to go to this field. What did you do next? Do you remember? Answer. Put my hands around him and strangled him. Question. When you were doing that, was that something that gave you a good feeling? Answer. At the moment it did, yes. Question. Why do you think that was? Answer. Because instead of me being hurt, I was hurting somebody else.
Hi, my name is Eric Smith. After quite a few years of verbal abuse and having been told that I'm nothing, I shut down my feelings so I wouldn't feel the emotional pain which made me feel vulnerable and weak. But the damage was done. I began to believe that I was nothing and a nobody. And my outlook on life was dark. I felt that when I went to school, I was going to hell. Because that's what it was for me, it was hell. Till it gets to the point where the individual cannot take anymore. After a while, they may cope in a horrific way, take their emotional anger and rage out on someone who had done nothing to bring on such violence. Not because they're evil or satanic little kids. It's because they want the abuse to stop, and it's the only way they know how to. Trapped. I fear that when I die, I will leave no good mark upon this world, no great accomplishment. And my last days will be filled with the thought of what good I could have done. But my last view of life could very well be walls, razor wire, and steel metal bars.
All right, so this case is one of those ones that we're not going to give away right off the get-go like we do most of the time with serial killers. We go into the whole story, and then we're like, all right, now let's start from the beginning again.
Yeah.
This one we kind of want to leave it in suspense because there's not a lot to it anyway. But it just makes.
But it is a fantastic story. It's going to make for a lot. It's going to make for a lot of good conversation as far as good debate.
Right.
I would think. I didn't mean fantastic story as I'm happy it happened, but of course not.
Well, I don't know how I stumbled upon this one, but I just saw the footnotes of it. This is what happened. And I was like, oh God, that's crazy.
Did somebody suggest this to you?
No.
Okay.
I think
We'll find out.
looking for a different case and then just saw this and I bookmarked it and I'm like, that's crazy. I wrote the name down.
All right. I trust you.
So, and when you see the picture of this person, you're just like, wow.
You want to dig into it a little bit. It's like sometimes some people just have those serial killer eyes, man.
Dude, black eyes like a doll's
This
eye.
person ended up not being a serial killer, but
Dark soul.
ooh, he was on the right track.
Right. So this story takes place in a town called Savona, New York.
Very small town.
Very small. Looks like it's just a highway town.
Is it in
like a
upstate
town
New
that
York?
shouldn't be? Yeah.
Yeah.
Up above Philly, I guess. I don't know. I was going to look at the map. I don't know the East
Probably
Coast.
like above Buffalo.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah.
up in the New York area.
Yeah, you know Philly's not in New York, right?
I know,
Okay.
but it's close.
Okay.
They're borders.
Yeah, they are.
But yeah, it's up in the...
Yeah, it's way up there.
This population of this town, even in 2016, is 808.
808.
They don't get much smaller than that.
No. No, the little town that I lived in here in Nevada is like over 1,000, and they don't even have a gas station.
Yeah.
So that's a tiny town.
Savona.
Savona. This is where like everyone lives on a street that is the same as their last name.
Oh, yeah. Literally, you own the street.
Yeah, you own the street.
The victim,
you had to make it. So
the victim in this story, his family lived on the street called...
it was called Roby Street.
Yeah. The Roby family consisted of Dale and Dory, and they had 2 sons, Derek
and Dalton.
Derek and Dalton.
Big fans of alliteration.
Yeah, they love the D's. Just rolling on through with the D's.
Right. All their initials are DR.
You heard of the Killer Bees on Pittsburgh Steelers? They're the Killer D's.
Oh, nice.
Except they weren't killers. One of them got killed.
Oh, spoiler.
Yeah.
I hadn't got into that yet.
Right. Dalton and Derek. Derek was the older brother. He was 4 years old in 1993. That's where the story takes place, the year 1993. And in the summer of 1993,
right.
Derek was 4 years old. He was about to turn 5. And his younger brother, Dalton, was real young, was like 18 months or something.
Yeah.
Real young. Derek loved to play t-ball. Beloved by his parents, great kid.
Apparently a very mature kid for his age.
Yeah.
Like when you watch like the little home videos and stuff, like he's very mature, very well developed, very well mannered kid.
It must just run in the family because his younger brother Dalton, you see
yeah.
videos of him now, and he's like straight A student, very mature.
Yes.
Like would rather hang out with his parents, doesn't have a lot of friends. Just kind of. Yeah. Granted, there's 800 people in town.
I think
he's like the only kid these days.
He's probably valedictorian,
right?
Of the 10 people in his class.
I was gonna say he's top 10. That's the whole class.
Right.
Yeah. So during the summer of 1993. Derek had been going to a
summer camp.
Yeah, summer camp.
And it was like less than a block away from his house. Apparently, it was just on
the end of the street. There's a dead-end street, and at the end of the street was this park where this summer camp took place.
Right.
And he loved it. And on this particular morning of August 2nd, 1993, he was all excited, ready to go to the park and start his day. And his mother had her hands full with his younger brother Dalton.
Right. Dalton was being a little fussy.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
As young kids can be.
Right.
Right, Lauren?
Kid never shuts up. Can't do anything with this cat over here.
Shut up.
I was watching Big Daddy the other day, and I was just like, dude, this is so spot on. He's like, they don't need privacy. They're just always around.
It's true. In the bathroom, they're there.
Yeah. Just staring at me, making noises. Can't do anything. Yeah, so little Dalton is, he's all over Mama that morning. And so I guess she decides...
against her better judgment.
Dory decides, all right, Derek, this one time, I've got my hands full with your little brother. You can go ahead and walk down to the park. It's just at the end of the street.
Right. He didn't have to cross any streets, less than a block away.
How many times does this happen in these stories where we're like, this
one time?
Yeah, the one time this person went alone somewhere, they get snatched up.
Yep.
And so, of course, you know where this story is going. Derek starts walking down to the park and doesn't make it.
He's actually lured into the woods.
And it's later said that within 5 minutes of leaving his house, he was dead. And so the body would end up not being discovered until 4 hours later. And it's also said that Dory, his mother, had this moment of panic minutes after Derek had left. And she says she believes that was the moment that he died. And I've heard this before.
Yeah.
You know, we've heard this before many times. I recall Bam Margera actually, when Ryan Dunn. When Ryan Dunn died in the car accident, Bam Margera he freaked out and punched a hole through a wall or something.
Yeah,
and he didn't
for
know
no
why.
apparent reason.
Yeah, he didn't know why until later when he found out that his friend had died. There's this weird connection.
Right.
She swears that it was Derek telling his way of letting her know.
Right.
They had some kind of a telepathy thing. I don't know.
I think that also puts some more weight into the fact of what a great kid he was too, because his parents. I remember his dad said in one of the documentaries, he's like he wouldn't do anything without letting us know. Mm-hmm. He never went anywhere without letting us know. He's like, and I feel like if there were any way possible for him to let us know that something happened, he would have done something.
Right.
Which I mean, I don't know. It's it's neither here nor there. Maybe it's just the parents reaching. They want to feel like their son is still able to communicate and still reach out. So, I mean, I feel like as a parent, you could take anything as that sort of a sign.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I don't believe in it, but I don't believe in it. You know, I mean, I'm not 100% either way, I guess.
Right. That's deep, man.
What do you think?
I don't know. I tend to believe her. I don't know. Have you ever had one of those feelings where you're like, you just have this feeling something happened, and then you get a call that something had happened, or?
Not that I can recall. I feel like anytime something bad's happened, I've been surprised.
Well, you're not in tune with life, man. Or your
Or
surroundings.
maybe it's just not
or your
bad
family.
enough. I've been lucky enough to have not lose anyone very close to me yet in my life.
Right.
Like I've lost, great grandparents that I knew, but that's, maybe great aunts and uncles, but I wasn't extremely attached to them. So I haven't lost anyone that's really tethered to me. Does that make sense?
I think
Like
also
immediate
there's
family.
a mother and son bond that's unlike anything.
There's a mother and child bond, unlike anything.
Yeah.
For sure.
I guess.
Yeah. It doesn't matter, son, daughter.
I've heard mother-son bond is like extra special though.
Maybe,
And I've even had
maybe you're
mothers that
just saying
have
'cause
sons
you're a
and
son.
daughters. No, I've literally had mothers that have sons and daughters, and like right in front of the daughter, they're like, "Yeah, there's just nothing like that." Mother, son, and the daughter's like, "What? Thanks, mom."
You bitch.
Thanks, mom. Right. So I don't. But I think in general, the mother bond with her children is something special, and there's like a connection there for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
the child grew inside your body, so
Right.
there might have just been this like electric thing that happened where she could sense that he was
could
no
have.
longer alive. You know.
And he wasn't very old either. I mean, I'm sure they spent every minute together at home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So-
Yeah. And so, like we mentioned, 4 hours later, the body of Derek would be discovered. And it basically had been determined that he'd been lured from the road into a patch of woods along this field
Right.
on its way to the park. And he had been strangled to death, and he had been bashed in the head with rocks.
That's what it said there was like 2 large rocks laying beside the
There was
body.
like a really big rock and then like a medium-sized rock that were
Right.
next to his body with blood on them, and it had been determined that they'd been used to bludgeon his body. His
Right.
body had also been sodomized with a stick that they found nearby, and he had brought a lunch bag with him, and there was a banana in the lunch bag and like a thing of Kool-Aid.
This was strange.
Very strange.
The banana was smashed.
Right.
Just instead of just thrown or eaten.
Right.
Like it was just
Like
smashed.
someone had a grudge against this banana. The banana was smashed and like laying to the
Right.
side, and then the Kool-Aid had been dumped over
This is so creepy.
the wounds, which was very strange.
Basically dumped
In the wounds.
into the face wounds where
Right.
he had been crushed.
Right.
Like that just
Now that was post-mortem, right? I mean, he was
Right,
strangled to death,
right.
and then this stuff happened afterwards, which
Right.
I guess makes it a little easier to.
Also, we should
think
mention.
about
Also, it's worth mentioning the way the body was laying too.
Yeah, very
Kind
very
of had
strange.
Kind of had his arms outstretched.
Arms stretched out, and his right shoe was next to his left hand,
Right.
and his left shoe was next to his right hand.
Yeah,
Very strange.
Like laid out
Like what
almost
is going on in the
crucifixion style but with
psyche of
shoes.
this killer?
Right.
Never heard anything like that.
Okay, so just knowing what we have just said,
Right.
does this sound like a serial killer to you?
Yes.
Very
It sounds
much
like
so.
someone who really thought this out. Or
Absolutely.
like enjoyed playing with a victim's body afterwards, and like
Absolutely. This doesn't sound like a crime of passion. This sounds like
a thrill kill.
yeah, a thrill kill. That's right. They were enjoying this.
Right.
Everything was thought out, planned. It was done in a very private area.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they were planning on getting Derek Roby in particular, but I think this type of kill was definitely plotted.
Right.
Because they couldn't have known he was going to be there because his mom walked him everywhere. This is literally the first time she let him walk anywhere alone.
Yeah.
So they couldn't have been like watching him every single day and plotting this.
Right.
So it was
It was an opportunity, a kill of opportunity.
Right. It was somewhat spontaneous, and it seems like an animalistic personality took over.
Right. The Charles Wood would end up being the lead investigator that discovered all of this horrific scene in the woods in this
Right.
small town. Just shook this small town up. This kid was loved. I mean, Derek was known. They said that he could have been like the mayor of the town because everyone that drove by, he would be on his bike waving to
Right.
everybody. Like
Yeah.
everybody knew little Derek, and like he was just so friendly and like always around, always riding his bike around, and just happy kid. He looked like a kid that just always lived outside, just playing. I mean, I guess that was the times, early 90s.
Yeah, early 90s. It was a different time.
Yeah.
You've really ruined him for me, though, with the mentioning that he only had like 10 kids in his school. Because I was thinking about all his accomplishments. So I'm like, man, he was an accomplished little kid. I was like, wait a second. You know, like T-Ball, his mom was like, oh, he hit a home run. Well, there was probably like 3 kids out there.
Right.
I mean,
he said, or his mom said that he would tell his mom he's going to hit it. And she's like, he almost always hit a home run.
that was all he said.
I'm like, well, it's T-ball, lady.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you just hit it in play and just don't stop running, they're not gonna get you out.
Yeah. There's footage of him. He looks pretty fast.
Yeah, he's a
He looked
quick
like an
little guy.
athletic kid, yeah.
Nice.
For a 4-year-old, that's just crazy to me. The 4-year-olds can run like that.
Oh, well, yeah.
My kid will get there, I guess.
Oh, yeah, he'll get there.
This has things have changed as far as the show goes and children and stuff. Like now, I get it. Like it's like a little boy getting killed in
Yeah.
this fashion. It's just
rough,
like it was
isn't
harder.
it?
It was harder to study for sure.
Yeah.
Now that I have one,
It
Little
gets to you.
yeah, a little weird. So, police and the parents initially suspected, obviously, that this was a creepy male adult.
Right. Which was really driving the town crazy because, like we mentioned earlier, it's a town of 800 people.
Right. So everybody's looking around,
Everybody knows everybody.
looking at every dude around. Like,
Right.
Was it you?
Yeah, it's what it seemed like.
Right.
It seemed like tensions were very high.
Yeah, and the police initially don't have any leads. I mean, there's no direct evidence leading them to a suspect. You
No,
know,
not at all.
they have no leads as far as suspects. They're not getting any calls or anything like that.
Right.
Nothing to go on. And
Probably no one in town even probably has a record because of embarrassment, you know?
Right.
Like a couple ding-dong ditches or something.
Right. Something interesting that does happen is about 4 days after the murder, a 14-year-old kid walks into the police station and offers his help in the investigation, interjects himself into this situation.
Right. A kid who also attends the camp.
A kid who also attends the same camp that Derek went to. I mean, granted, how many kids are in this town, and probably all of them go to this camp.
Right. Probably all 10 of them go here.
Exactly.
I mean, is it even worth organizing with less than 10?
Right. And so the police talk to this kid. The police talk to this kid, and they find out that he went to the same camp. And that kind of perks their interest a little bit. They're like, huh, did you know Derek? You know, that type of thing. And
Right.
And the longer they start talking to him, they start noticing that he looks a little bit nervous. Like, and certain questions like trigger him.
Right. There's certain things it's hard for him to hear or see because like when they ask him, did you see Derek that day?
Right. He says yes.
He says yes, I did see him.
And they ask him like what he was wearing, and he says that he's wearing the stuff that he's wearing, a
Yep,
white T-shirt,
spot
and
on,
whatever
And
colored
he-
shorts.
and he even mentions the lunchbox.
Right. Which the police found a little bit weird from where he said he saw him.
Yeah.
For them to be able to say, you know, that his lunchbox was this clear, and then also like he said that he saw him by a field.
Yeah.
Now the field.
Well, wasn't it supposedly that this kid was on the other side of the field, away from Derek? So
Right.
that's why they're saying that he probably wouldn't have been able to make out what was on the lunchbox,
Right.
Unless he got a little closer.
Yeah, and also it's just strange that he saw him at the field because the field leads to this patch of woods where his body was.
Yeah, that's odd too. It's what a coincidence.
Right. And so at a certain point, the police start pressing their questions a little bit more with him.
Yeah.
And he has an interesting reaction where he like balls up his fists and puts them up to his ears and has like a little tissy fit. I don't know how you'd explain it, like a little freak out.
Right. Yeah.
Like starts like, "Grr! You guys think I did it, don't you?
Yeah.
You guys think I killed that kid, don't you?"
It's starting to become clear, kid.
Right.
I mean, that's not a good way to go about it. If you
Right. Your
didn't kill
poker
him.
face
Right. Your poker
could be
face.
better.
Yeah, for sure.
And so you want to describe what this kid looks like? He's
Redheaded kid. I would say like sunken, dark eyes, freckles. I mean, when we say redheaded, I mean like bright red.
yeah, like his head's on
bright-
fire.
Yeah, well, bright orange rather.
Bright orange, thick glasses.
low set ears, which was something kind of odd. Some doctors actually consider it a birth defect.
Right.
And it's like your ears, don't go up past, I don't know, what would you say, like your cheekbones maybe?
Go up like the top of your ears.
They
Typically
kinda
go up
fold
to like
over.
what your eyebrow. His were like down below his eyes.
Yeah, they kind of folded over. And they
Mm-hmm.
were like flat and flush. They were like almost flush with like the glasses, with like
Right.
the arm and the glasses. But yeah, not a big kid, not a very athletic kid. Very picked on regularly,
Right.
and just had a lot of frustrations in life. I guess
This kid's-
wasn't dealt the best hand.
This kid's name was Eric Smith. Now we'll go more into him. The police were quite interested in him after this conversation and considered him now a suspect in this whole thing.
Right.
The next day, 5 days out from the murder, Derek would be buried in his baseball uniform, which made it, I don't know, when I heard that, it just like made it all more real and just sad to me, just really sad.
It's because when you hear, Derek Roby was buried, you just think of a funeral and you think of all the people, and then it says baseball uniform, and then you actually picture him in the casket, and you're like, damn.
Right. And his family just
It
distraught.
just
and
makes it so real.
Oh, God. It's just so sad. Yeah. It's terrible. And so that was 5 days out. 2 days after that, the boy that we were alluding to, the 14-year-old Eric Smith, walks into the police station with his family or with his parents and confesses to killing this kid.
No one saw this coming.
No one, well, the police, I'm sure.
Well, the police had at one point suspected that it was a child
Right.
because of the squash banana that we alluded to.
They found that strange. They found it odd, and then like they said an adult wouldn't do that. An adult would just discard the banana, throw it,
Right.
either just leave it where it was or just throw it. Like they wouldn't squash it. It was almost like someone's
Right.
disdain for bananas.
Yeah, it's like, God, I hate bananas.
Like a child, like I hate bananas. Like squash it.
Yeah, yeah.
Why would If you're an adult and you don't like bananas, you just don't fucking bother with them.
And if an adult killed him, probably wouldn't even open the lunchbox, honestly.
Yeah.
Probably would just...
It's interesting. The police suspected because of that, and when family friends of the Smiths, people by the name of John and Marlene Haskell, they were good friends of the Smith family.
Right.
When they heard about this, Marlene in particular found it odd, the whole banana thing, and suspected it was a child.
This is so interesting.
And suspected a child in particular
Right.
that they knew, which was Eric Smith, who would spend a lot of time at their house.
Yeah, for some reason, he was like staying at their house for like this whole week afterwards.
Right.
I mean, that's strange. Later it said that he hinted to some household abuse
Yeah.
by his stepfather, but then later like completely denied it. Like, no, I was just bullshitting.
Well, there was
had to have been.
Well, no, there was abuse going on in the family. Maybe not to Eric, but to his sister. She came out later and said that she had been molested by her stepdad.
Yep. Maybe he just didn't want to be around that either.
Right.
But his dad did say that there was a lot of times where he would smack him on the back of the head or say you get on my nerves or whatever he said. But that was pretty much the extent of it. So I don't know. I mean, if he's willing to say that, there's no telling what the guy did behind closed doors. You know what I mean?
Right. Now, the guy we're talking about, his stepdad or the adopted father of Eric, his name was Ted. He's a real piece of work. Like, you see him on the stand during the trial later on, and like you said, like talked about slapping him in the back of the head.
Yeah,
and this
that's what
and
I'm
that.
saying. If that guy is willing to admit that stuff in court, there's no telling what that asshole did at home.
Right, and the sister, Eric's sister, and his adopted daughter was sexually abused by him, and came out and confessed to that later.
Right.
Now, Eric, like we said, went in and confessed, and the woman, Marlene, the family friend who had him over at her house all the time, she did an experiment which may have helped lead to Eric's confession.
Yeah, she's a regular Sherlock Holmes over here.
Yeah, so she does this experiment. So Eric's coming to her house, and so she decides this whole banana thing's got her weirded out, and she's like, maybe if I do this experiment, I might have a better idea that Eric is actually the killer.
Right.
So she decides to go to the store and get everything, all the fixings to make banana splits, right?
Right. Well, first off, what threw her on that hunch
Yeah.
is the fact that Eric kept asking about the case. He kept asking. He asked her. He literally asked her, "What would happen if they found out it was a kid?" And then she was like, "Well, they would probably give him or her some sort of psychological help." And then he was like, "How do they test DNA?"
Oh my
So
God.
he was coming to her with these questions. He was hearing this on the news and then coming to her with these questions. So that's what really put her over the top. So anyway, so she's going to get banana.
Yeah, so she goes to the store because he's just basically saying, so what if I was the killer?
Yeah. So if I killed somebody, how would anybody know?
I hate bananas too, by the way. Just thought I'd throw that out there.
Oh, God. I noticed
Banana,
you
I
have
just
some
want
over
to
there.
squash them. She went to her counter and all the bananas were squashed.
Those
and she
yellow
looked at Eric and he had
bastards.
like mushed up bananas on his fingers.
He had one of those like mashed potato mallet things.
Mashers, yeah.
Just freaking squishing them all up.
Yeah, so she goes to the store. She gets all the fixings to make banana splits for the family, knowing that Eric would be there. comes home, sets everything up. Hey, we're having bananas, but everybody's all excited. Eric
got
comes
banana
up,
in 'em.
Yeah, Eric comes up. He gets his ice cream and his chocolate
Right.
syrup, and doesn't take any banana. And she asks him, "Don't you want some banana?" He goes, "No, I don't like bananas."
And she looked at her husband and said, "Ooh, Frank, did
That's
you hear
it.
him? He doesn't like bananas.
Case closed.
He doesn't like
Case
bananas."
closed. Yeah. So she may have gone to Eric's parents and and kind of like pushed them to ask Eric about his involvement more, because they already suspected that Eric maybe didn't do anything, but knew something that had happened, had seen
Right.
something based off of what he had told the police.
Yeah.
The police believed that he had at least seen something. He had seen
Right.
the guy who killed him or whatever.
Yeah.
And so they sit down with Eric, and they were the ones that convinced him to tell him what happened, and that's when he confessed to them that he had done it, and he said he was sorry to his parents or whatever that he had killed that kid.
Gosh.
And they, just in absolute shock, of course,
Absolutely.
tell him that he has to go in and confess to the police, which he does.
Right.
And it's at this point that the public finds out, and the police now know that it's him after he
Right.
confesses, and this is when stuff starts coming out about Eric. Of course, everybody wants to know what could have created this monster.
Absolutely.
How did he get to this point? How does a 14-year-old boy do this horrendous act to a 4-year-old boy?
Right. And there was a lot of speculation, but there was nothing concrete for a long time.
Right.
He didn't come out about reasons for a long time.
Yeah. We talked about his adopted father, Ted, and what
Right.
kind of a piece of work he seemed to be. When you see him talk on the stand, it's just
Right. And there's nothing about his biological father.
no, you never
Nothing.
hear anything about it.
Nothing. Not a whisper.
Right.
No clue who that guy is.
What does get understood is that as a child, Eric had frequent temper tantrums.
Where he would bang his head on the floor.
Yeah, he would bang his head on the floor. There you go. There could be
Frontal
some brain
lobe damage right there.
frontal lobe damage, potentially.
Absolutely. That's a good point. Oh, and
Potential birth defects.
his mother was also on a medication that they blamed a lot of these birth defects on. It was a epilepsy medication
Right.
that she was taking while she was pregnant. And they don't think that it... he was diagnosed with the
It was called
psychological...
Tridowine.
Yes.
Or Tridowine.
Yeah. So he was, at a young age, he was diagnosed with what was it, angry outburst, some sort. Not too far off from Tourette's, but like...
Well, what the defense attorney, the defense specialist, defense psychiatrist diagnosed him with was something called intermittent explosive disorder.
Right. It sounded so made up to me, but
I
it
think
makes
it is
sense.
one of those things.
Yeah, it's just kind of...
It's basically like extreme temper tantrums. It's like someone who has uncontrollable anger urges, which
And then after...
I think we all get on different scales. Like his might have been more extreme when you're slamming your head against the ground.
Yeah, as a baby, and you can't
Right,
control
as a child.
Yeah.
I mean, I would break stuff. I've definitely known to have a short fuse, and I've known some kids who have extreme like anger outbursts. I mean, I knew this one kid named Brad who would just
lose it, huh?
yeah. I mean, he was the type to punch himself in the face, like hurt himself just out of anger, just because he couldn't.
Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen him do some crazy shit. I was about to fight him once.
Yeah.
And he started punching himself in the face. I'm like, okay, well, you did my work for me. Thank you.
Just gonna walk away.
I saw him throw a wrench through like a TV stand in front of his dad once. He used to we'd be riding a bike and he'd get mad over something. He'd just ghost ride his bike down the street and like it'd hit a car. And dude was insane.
Just jump off
Literally,
and throw it.
One time,
I've seen kids do that.
One time
shit.
I saw him lose his mind like over something stupid. He got super mad and he's like, "Give me a gun right now! I'll shoot myself."
Oh shit.
So
No, you know what though? I've known kids to say that too.
Right.
I knew a kid growing up that actually said something close to that almost every time he got angry.
right,
Like it just always went straight to death.
yeah.
Wonder what he's doing now.
Now, here's something that's interesting: is on the stand, Eric's dad, Ted, was asked if Eric ever came to him about this anger, and
He
he
was
says
quite the counselor.
right. He said that there was a time where Eric had come to him and said that he didn't know what to do, that he gets so angry that he wants to hurt something or someone.
Right.
And this is
Those were his
moment
actual
where,
words. He
as a
wants to
father
hurt
figure,
someone.
right? This is a moment as a father figure where you're supposed to have some wisdom that makes the kid feel better.
Yeah.
And he says, "Well, I've been known to have anger too when I was younger, and what I used to do is just go punch a bag or something."
Yeah. I'll go out in the barn and out there and
No
punch
longer,
the bag.
no sooner does he finish his
Really?
sentence before Eric's out the door, and Ted's like, "I don't know where he went." And it's like, how do you not follow him right there? Okay,
Right.
he just left, and then Ted's like,
He's
"All right,
going
cool,"
out.
grabs a beer and goes to finish the game.
Knowing good goddamn well he doesn't have a punching bag out there.
Yes,
That asshole. Like, what is he
he's
going
either
to
going
do?
to punch the dog, or
Right.
what he does is ends up hurting himself. Goes out,
Right.
punches a tree, comes back in with bloody knuckles, And Ted goes, "Oh, he seemed fine after that."
Oh,
Literally, that's what he said.
That seems normal.
He seemed fine.
Normal behavior to me.
Punched the tree and his knuckles are all bloody. He seemed fine. I mean, I guess I could just do that every day, every time you get mad. It's
Just
fine.
angry kids being angry kids, eh?
Right? God, this guy.
Right. He didn't give a shit, man. Like, I don't know. I'm not saying stepfathers can't love children that aren't theirs. I'm sure. I know that happens. I know there are good step parents out there.
Yeah.
Amazing step parents.
There's also some shitty ones.
But I think for a man, it's harder to love a child unconditionally that's not yours. Mm-hmm. For a man, especially if that child is not necessarily cream of the crop.
Yeah, genetically.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Not necessarily a well-behaved kid, not the smartest, not the best-looking kid. It's like it's a little harder to take ownership of that child. I feel like there's always that distance.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I hope I'm not stepping on anybody's toes. That's a step parent. Like I said, there's some really good step parents out there, amazing ones that truly love these kids unconditionally. But I don't believe this man was one of them.
No, definitely not. I don't know if he had his own. He just didn't seem like a great guy in general.
No,
you know what I mean, obviously we talked about how the daughter or the sister of Eric came out and talked about how he had been molesting her. So he's just a piece of shit in general.
Sounds like it. Yeah.
Yeah, and Eric also was relentlessly bullied at school, which might have been the biggest catalyst to this whole thing.
Right. Yeah. Other kids that were.
I mean, he's kind of like it sounds messed up, but he's like kind of the quintessential, like if you were casting a movie and you wanted the kid that's going to get picked on, that's Eric.
pretty
like
much.
thick glasses, red hair, freckles.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing wrong with it. Like everybody's got their cup of tea, but like he's the kid that gets picked on in school, and he was relentlessly bullied, which we know how this goes sometimes. When a kid, Eric later in quotes came out and basically said that I got to the point where I couldn't feel anything anymore because
well, he was
his
tired of being the
self-esteem was
victim.
so low that he didn't have like feelings anymore, and that's
and he was tired of being the one being hurt, and he wanted to hurt somebody.
yes. Yeah, he was looking for his opportunity to dish it back out because all he did was take shit his whole life.
Right. It just sucks he couldn't.
This is one of
dish it
those
out
ones
on
where I
somebody.
feel for just about everybody in this story. You know, like some people, I've read comments on YouTube of the doc of like
gosh, you
this
can't
story.
do that shit. It's just
Everybody
like
on there is like,
Kinkle.
"Fuck this kid, this piece of shit." Blah blah blah. I'm
Yeah.
like, he was 14. He was
13.
13, relentlessly bullied. His stepfather, obviously not a great guy.
Right.
And he went to him for advice on how to fix things, and that was his advice: go punch something.
Parents, I don't think his stepdad and his mom even really wanted him around because neighbors and people that lived in his neighborhood said that he was constantly outside.
He was seen
pedaling
for
around.
hours a day, just riding his bike around with those lifeless eyes,
By himself, just staring at
looking
squirrels.
for an opportunity.
just targeting. No.
Yeah.
You just kind of get the sense like they didn't want him around.
Right.
Like they were probably like, get the hell out of here, whatever. Go ride your bike, get out of here. Like,
Right.
whatever. And he just he was either doing that or he was at his grandparents' house.
Yeah.
And you know how grandparents
Spent much
are.
time. That tells you something too. Is that like it's almost the documentary we watched almost alluded that like his grandparents raised him. Like his grandfather was
Pretty
distraught.
much.
His grandfather was interviewed and distraught about this whole thing. Like couldn't believe that his grandson Eric would do such a thing.
Right. He's still convinced that he may have like something like schizophrenia or something. He's like, there's no way that was my grandson that did that. There's no way.
Because he saw the good side of Eric, the happy side. That you see videos that the grandparents took of him like swimming and smiling and
Right.
yeah. So it's crazy, man. I don't know. I didn't know what to think about this one. I was just like insanity here, like. But ultimately, what the prosecution in trial had come to the conclusion of was that he knew what he was doing was wrong. We've had this conversation many times on this. He knew, and there's evidence of it, and that he chose the one day when he was alone.
Right.
He'd probably seen him going to that park a million times before, but
Absolutely.
he always had his mom with him, and he never.
Absolutely.
And the fact that he lured him into the woods where he couldn't be seen tells you that he knew what he was doing was wrong.
Right. But at the same time,
But he also didn't show remorse afterwards. He almost was like happy about it afterwards, which is strange.
that's the serial killer part. That's what I was just about to get to.
Right.
That's the scary part of it.
And he interjects himself like a serial killer would, where he gets
Right.
off on the aftermath of it.
Yeah, it's all the after stuff. Like if he would have just grabbed, this sounds awful, but if he would have just grabbed the kid and strangled him and left him there, then maybe you could say, okay, crime of passion, he snapped, maybe had one of these angry episodes. But everything that he did, it took thought, it took time almost.
Yeah.
It took time to beat him, go find these rocks,
to
beat this boy, lay the body out
him
a certain
in such
way.
a strange fashion. Yeah.
Right. Sodomize him. Like all this took time. This is all thinking.
And the
then
sodomy
you
was
kept
also
him.
strange. It's like, do you think there was a sexual, I didn't think there was a sexual factor to it. You said you did.
I feel like a lot of things have a sexual factor to a 13-year-old boy.
Right.
I really do. I think that's an underlying drive at that age. It's like it's the age where it's really starting to set in, I think.
Yeah. I think he had this built up rage where he had no self-worth and everybody just messed with him and he just had to lash out in a way, and it was a horrific way that he did it. And he needed to be put away in one way or another, and he needed a lot of therapy.
Right. Yeah, in no way, shape, or form do I think he should be free. I do not think he should be free.
No, even to this day, though, and this is many years later, and he's still locked up. Spoiler.
I still don't think he should be out.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, I know his brain wasn't fully developed, but at 13 years old, I mean, I don't know many people who would even consider, who have even pondered the thoughts of what this guy did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can't even fathom it. I just don't. At 13 years old, you're developed enough to know.
Right.
You're developed enough to know.
Yeah, and so on August 16th, 1994, after the trial, he would be convicted of second-degree murder and sentenced to the maximum term at that time for juvenile, which was 9 years to life in prison.
Wasn't there like a penny clause or something that was a penny law
Well,
or something that was later put into place by Roby's parents?
Yeah, well, they were on the board to help make sure that it got passed through.
Right.
I think it's called Penny's Law.
That's right.
Well, that was after he spent 9 years and then was up for parole. And then his first parole hearing, he was denied. His parents, the Roby family, they think he should never be let out. They've not found it in their heart to forgive him, which is totally understandable.
Yeah. I mean, I agree.
And he's been up for parole time and time again and been denied, and he's now up for parole again in 2018.
Right. I feel like this is worse than the girls in the Shonda Scherer case. I think it's worse.
You think so?
As far as
what about the Slender Man?
The sadism involved, definitely worse than Slender Man.
Right. Well, because in those cases there was a peer pressure factor. Mm-hmm. You know, you almost felt like they were all trying to be cool.
There was a pack mentality.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a even on Slender Man, there was a 2-on-1. There was a need to be liked.
Right, and Eric was not doing this to impress anybody. He was doing it sheerly for his self-pleasure. Self-pleasure, 100% was the only reason he did it. 100%.
There was no one around.
And he would do it again.
He would have got away with this if he didn't confess.
Yeah, and had he gotten away with it, he would have done it again shortly thereafter to another kid.
Yep. Because he
could have been one of the greats. He could have been one of the, he could have, no, I mean, seriously, he could have been a really prolific serial killer if he wasn't a dumb 13-year-old kid that went around
How long is he going to last
making it clear that he did it.
How long is he going to last
Yeah,
in
he
the town
needed to
of 800?
expand a little bit. He killed half the town.
Yeah, he just branch out into the county at least.
Right.
You know, steal lawnmowers, whatever the shit he's got to do. But yeah, he would have definitely came back because his life would have been exactly the same. He would have got that rush. He would have felt important. He would have felt like he changed someone's life, whether the good or the bad.
Right.
And he's going to go back to school and take all that shit from people after he just killed somebody? Mm-hmm. No. That's not how that's going to go down.
Yeah. Well, after his initial 9 years leading up to his first parole hearing, he had made a public statement that he had read on television. He said, "I know my actions have caused a terrible loss in the Roby family, and for that I am truly sorry. I've tried to think as much as possible about what Derek will never experience. His 16th birthday, Christmas, any time, owning his own vehicle, or owning his own house, graduating, going to college, getting married, his first child. If I could go back in time, I would switch places with Derek and endure all the pain I've caused him. If it meant that he would go on living, I'd switch places, but I can't." At the end of this statement, Smith stated that he could not bear the thought of walls, razor wire, and steel metal bars for the rest of his life. He's also apologized to Derek Roby in interviews.
And there's actually audio of him reading this himself.
Yeah.
And it is pretty heartbreaking. It is pretty heartbreaking, but there's just something in his voice that just,
Seems insincere.
It does. It just doesn't. I don't quite buy it.
And he while in jail, he did try to further his education. He started learning other languages. He
Right.
became into poetry, like he wrote poems. And
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, what else you think?
I mean,
Write haikus.
his attorney swore that she would feel comfortable with him. She said that there's a house across the street from her for sale, that if he was released, she would feel totally fine with him living there. Like, she feels that he would never repeat an offense like this.
Well, of course she has
And
to
that
say
he's
that.
totally rehabilitated, of course.
She has to say that.
Yeah.
I mean, she probably doesn't even have kids.
Right.
So, I don't know. She may. Oh, no, wait. It said she was a mother of 5. So, I guess it does carry a little more weight. Mm-hmm. She's crazy. I would not do that. I'd be like, if he does get released, she'd be like, I don't really mean all that shit about the stuff across, the house across the street.
Right.
I'm sure there's a nice apartment in town.
Right. There's more quotes from Eric leading up to other parole hearings. Every year when he was up for parole, he would have to come up with new statements and like how he's rehabilitated and how bad he feels.
Right.
Here's another quote. I took my anger and frustration and rage out on him. Mm-hmm. I took it out on Derek, and he did not deserve that. Who I was at age 13 does not exist. The child that committed that crime, he's gone. He's never coming back. Now he's in his late 30s, leading up to his next parole hearing in 2018.
Right.
And
He gets one every 2 years, right?
yeah, well, I mean, I don't know what the rate is, but it's pretty frequently.
It's every 2 years.
Okay.
Now, but yeah, and the Robies, the parents, they're not letting up on this. They're
No.
still just today. There's just still as heartfelt about keeping him in prison as they were then. They're pushing it every way they can. That's why Derek's story is out there right now.
Right. I just feel like the I mean, we've talked about it, but the fashion in which he went about this crime is the issue. It's
Absolutely.
It's the way that he did it.
Yeah.
It's clear that there's something
post-mortem.
wrong.
That's the bad part.
Yeah, there's something wrong here. There's too many connections to like serial killers.
Right.
This isn't like you said, a Shonda Shearer or a Slender Man thing where they got sucked into something weird and they,
Right.
Either sadism or the Slender Man weird, folklore thing where they truly believe this.
Right.
They were doing it for somebody else. He just did it because he wanted to, and he got off on it.
That's right. It's the motive, man. The motive.
I
is
mean,
what-
we've all
what
done
seals it
dumb
for me.
stuff as kids, but like, yeah, what he did was it was different. Everybody knows it. And you look at it, and when he talks, you just get a weird feeling. You got to watch videos of the guy talking, even still
Yeah.
to this day. You get a dead inside vibe from him.
Right. You just get you get a
It's a
scared
good band,
person.
good band name, Dead Inside Vibe.
Dead Inside Vibe. Side stage Lollapalooza.
Right.
No, but yeah, he does have that feel to him. He's got that feel like he's a scared kid in prison and he wants to get out, and he'll say anything to get out. But then when he does, he's going to take that out on somebody else. He'd probably end up just like a Pan's Ram or something who spent all that time.
Yeah.
Because he probably has a shit life in prison too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I know he's not in a maximum security prison right now. He's in like a
Medium security
yeah,
prison
medium
for male
security.
infant, Erie County, New York.
Yeah. So he's not in the hardcore place, but he's not in the cakewalk either.
But that's,
So-
I mean, he spent by far the majority of his life now in prison. I mean, he's in his late 30s now, and this was 13 or 14 when he was locked up. So,
All right, so we've established that the dude probably would have definitely been a serial killer.
yeah.
And what do you think the reason why he would have been a serial killer? I mean, do we blame it on the medication? Do we blame it on
Possible birth defects.
the birth defects,
The brain damage from slamming his own head into the ground. But that's kind of like,
Like the lawyers, they like to say they said, I'm not saying that the medication, there's no way, and am I saying that the medication did this and that? But I feel like they have to do that.
right.
And at the least, they're probably got a little payout from that
What
medication company during
well,
that time.
What the defense attorney said is that we're not saying that the medication his mother was on that may have caused these birth defects, which lowered his ears and whatnot, caused him to do what he did. But in effect, it did because it's the reason that he got picked on was because of his birth defects, and in getting picked on, it caused him to have such low self-esteem and feel like he had zero friends, which people said like.
Well, they said that they didn't think the medication caused the disorder.
Right, that's
the
what I'm
anger
saying.
disorder, but they did say that it caused the birth defects.
Exactly.
Right. Well,
But
you
in
didn't say
effect, it caused him to do what he did because he got picked on due to the fact that he looked different.
Right.
And that's what caused him to be in the mindset that he was, to feel so alone and have such low self-esteem
Right.
and get to a place to where he just wanted to hurt someone to feel something
Yeah.
or to take the power back in a sense. Mm-hmm. And so there's that. I just feel like lack of leadership, maybe not the best parental figures mixed with extreme bullying. I just feel like from a peer standpoint, like we all need that acceptance.
Yeah.
At least from a small amount of people. Like you may not have to be the popular
Somebody.
kid in school, but
Yeah.
at least have a couple people that
Right.
appreciate you. It seemed like he had zero friends.
Yeah.
There was a girl that was in class with him that later said that he literally had zero friends, and he was picked on by everybody.
That's rough.
Yeah, I can't imagine it. Like in a fragile state that you're in, where your brain's not fully developed, to not be accepted by anybody, and then to also have a abusive adopted father.
Right, right. So you feel like shit at home. You feel like shit at school.
Yes.
Everybody takes advantage of you.
Right.
But there's a small part of me that doesn't think the medication had anything to do with it. I feel like it's just a cop out.
Right.
I feel like maybe it has more to do with whoever Eric's dad is. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of those things can come from the male side. Mm-hmm. Those different defects and stuff, those traits can be passed down. And it's a small town.
Yeah, it could have been a little bit of inbreeding going on.
It could have been, even incidentally.
Right.
Maybe not. Maybe, I hate to say not on purpose.
You're my
but,
sister.
Right, you never know. It's a small town, and why would he never be mentioned? And then if you don't mention him, then you have to have some sort of reason for this. And that medication just seems like such a cop-out. It's like epilepsy medication. Does she kind of have to take that? Or, depending on what kind of seizure she has, she could die from it.
Yeah.
She could, at the very least, she could fall over and hit her head on something. So the seizure medication has to be there. Surely there's something to counteract that during pregnancy.
Right.
You can't just say epileptic people can't have babies. Like I feel like it would be way more common.
Yeah.
That's why I feel like the medication is such a cop-out.
Right.
So I don't know. I'm just speculating.
Right. That's all you can do in this. There's literally the documentary we watched on YouTube is called "Why Did Eric Do It?" Right. Mm-hmm. And it's because like that's all that this case is about, is like why?
Yeah.
Why would a 14-year-old strangle and kill a 4-year-old boy, then bash him in the head with rocks, and then sodomize him with a stick, and then pour Kool-Aid into the wounds and arrange shoes in a weird fashion and arrange his body? And
he enjoyed that.
How does a 13-year-old boy get to that? Like,
yep.
Yeah, that's just the big question in this episode, is just why. And like all you can do is speculate, because you just don't know, because he hasn't said anything other than he was just angry.
That's not
and tired of being picked on.
That's not an angry fit.
Right.
That's way beyond an angry fit. He was not. I guarantee he was not angry when he was rearranging that body.
Right.
He was not angry.
No, and he didn't seem like it afterwards. When he went to the police station, he was happy he seemed proud of what he had done almost.
Well, when they did the walkthrough in the documentary,
just riding around on his bike,
riding around on his bike, smiling, pointing out stuff.
Right.
Yeah, he was over there. I was over there. Whatever.
Yep.
Enjoying it, enjoying every part of it. But that documentary was done by 48 Hours.
Yeah.
It was really good. A CBS documentary.
Yeah, so if you just go to YouTube and type in Eric Smith, it'll come up.
Yeah.
And that's where a large part of our studying for this came from. Who's like we said, a week that we wanted to do a smaller case just because there's been a lot going on, obviously.
Right after Christmas.
Right after Christmas, New Year's coming up. I'm sick, and we just wanted to definitely put something out there for you guys, and we hope you enjoyed it.
I actually did enjoy the speculation in this case, the theory, and
and we feel like our show is, every episode's different. Like we're not the steady as she goes. Like you know what you're getting. Yeah. You just don't know what you're getting with us.
It
man.
might be shit.
We might be up. We might be down. We might be doing a case where we're joking the whole time, and it's heists and this and that. And then we might do one that's just super depressing. It's just.
You might say our podcast is a gamble,
right?
Which is fitting.
You ride the waves with the True Crime Guy podcast.
Hey, but don't just remember, house always wins.
Yeah, exactly. In the long run, you're winning. right?
You're winning. That's right.
You're listening, you're winning.
You're all winners here.
I don't even know what the fuck I'm saying anymore.
I don't know. It's kind of late.
Yeah, but hey, it's a good show.
This was a good case.
It's a good case.
It's very interesting. Definitely check out the documentary. There's a few articles online. Yeah, check it out for yourself. Look at the pictures. Listen to him talk.
Yeah.
Be creeped out.
Yeah, dude. It gives you the EBGBs. This case.
Yeah, I'm sure I played some in the intro.
Yeah.
I'm sure future me will definitely come through for me.
Right on. Well, let's
Right.
get to some shout outs.
All right, let's do it.
We got Patreon episode coming up next week.
Oh, we do. What are we doing? Are we going to tease it? We're going to tell them?
Patreon exclusive. I'm thinking the one that I've wanted to do for a while now.
Okay.
And people keep pounding us to do BTK. We'll get there.
We'll get there when we feel like it.
When we damn well feel like it. All right. Next week we're gonna do Jonestown Massacre. Jim Jones.
We're doing it.
Drink the Kool-Aid, people.
That's right.
Grab a cup of Kool-Aid.
Wait, 2 episodes about Kool-Aid in a row?
Oh my God, yeah.
That's strange.
Pouring Kool-Aid in wounds and then pouring cyanide in Kool-Aid and then drinking it.
Wow. That's some twisted shit.
Good stuff, right?
Twisted shit.
Oh God, yeah. I'm excited to study it even more. This one's I've always been interested in. Leading up to that episode, you should go listen to the Jonestown tapes, the audio recorded on that day. It is about the creepiest thing you'll ever hear in your life. It's bad.
Yeah.
It's bad. It's bad. It's bad. It's just.
Is it bad though?
It's fucking bad.
I mean, on a scale of 1 to very bad.
Very, very bad.
Oh, I was gonna say like a 7.
I mean, people dying on audio and screaming in agony, children crying and screaming.
Why did they record that?
It's absolutely horrific.
Why did they record it?
I don't know. I don't remember why he recorded that. I mean, it doesn't shed him in a good light. That's all I'll say.
Right. Jesus. All right.
So yeah, we'll be talking about that extensively in the Patreon exclusive episode, which is going to happen next week, and we're also going to give away a hoodie to somebody.
Yeah, we're
on Michael's dime.
We're gonna do that on the 1st.
On the 1st, we're going to give that away. So that'll be sometime this week, right? That'll be like Tuesday.
So pay attention to your Patreon notifications.
We will be posting it on Patreon.
Yes.
We got to do the little scrambler thing that picks a random number, whichever number it lands on. That's if you're that patron. So if you're not a patron, you got time to get in there quick and try and win a hoodie.
Maybe 2 days.
Sign up for Patreon. Sign up for Patreon. Listen to all the episodes. Try and win the hoodie, and then fucking
quit. Do whatever the hell you want. I don't give a fuck.
Right?
It's your money.
Right?
Give it where you want.
It's your world, but just living in it.
Yeah. Or just keep listening for free. Fucking freeloader.
Right. So that's patreon.com/truecrimeguys. $2 a month gets you all those episodes and more.
That's right. And $5 a month gets you a gold sticker. $10 a month get you a Skype conversation, maybe, if we remember.
Oh, you sent Brittany 2 gold stickers, by the way, you piece of shit.
Yeah, but do you see what I wrote on the note, though?
No, what'd you say?
I
Double dipping?
It's personal.
Double dipping in the gold stickers? Oh, you can't be sending personal stuff to Brittany.
I acted like it was from you, though, because she likes you more.
I know.
I know how to play to our patrons.
I told her it wasn't me.
Ah, damn it. She said, what did she say?
I don't know.
She was probably like, damn it.
Right?
He fooled me.
Right. Shout outs.
We got some new iTunes reviews.
All right, read them out.
All right, so we'll start after Blue Persuasion.
Yes.
Because Blue Persuasion, you're awesome. Thanks for reviewing
every fucking week. Get a life.
All right. No, don't. Just keep doing.
Get a life.
Don't listen to Lauren. He doesn't know things. All right, what do we got? 5-star from Dame Dana, DM Duncan, Courtney 12, Moi. Thank you guys so much.
Mwah.
Mwah. No, I'm not doing a Joe Rogan thing. Like that's their name that left us a 5-star review. Oh shit! Hold on, I clicked off of it. Man, I'm an idiot.
I just want to know why these people aren't giving us 6-star reviews.
Right, they really need to step it up. Oh, how about this one though? Black Chrome 76 gave us a 1-star.
Oh yes, dude. We hadn't gotten one in a long time.
It's pretty good. All right. It says the information is interesting, but unfortunately, the hosts are terrible. Lame jokes, going off dull long tangents that serve only to amuse themselves.
Hey.
At the expense of the info being presented. These guys think they are hilarious. They're not. And this is what you get when a herd of chihuahuas narrates a podcast. Okay, Lauren? Chihuahuas? Dude, we can't even get like beagles.
Hey man, I feel like if you start out with saying the information is great, That's at least 2 stars, right?
Yeah, fuck you. Give us at least 2.5.
What's his name?
Black Chrome 76.
Go fuck your mother.
Go fuck.
I didn't even let you finish it.
Oh God. Go fuck
I
your
just
mother.
watched Goodfellas the other night. Hey, what are you doing here? I told you to go fuck your mother. I like this one. This one dog's going this way, one dog's going the other way.
Right. All right, hold on. I'm not even done yet. Quit interrupting with funny jokes.
Hey, we think we're so funny. We're like a couple of chihuahuas.
I think we're funny. Shit. All right. Deerham gave us a 5-star. Send to Caitlin and
Right
Jake
on.
and Jake at the disco.
Jake at the disco.
Jake, we're gonna get with you on Patreon for a Skype. I know you've reached out on
Oh,
there.
$10
and on
donor?
here. Yes.
Big shout out to
So and
$10
if you are
donor,
a
Jake.
$10 donor and we haven't got with you, send us a message because
Most people, we
Most
ask
people
them and they're
don't
like,
wanna do
"Oh, we
it.
don't care. It's fine."
right, most people don't want to do it. So just reach out, let us know a time as long as it's Friday morning, and we'll do it.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
No, that's the scheduling thing we can work out, especially if it's on the weekend.
Make sure you have
We can
Skype
work it out.
downloaded and you have an account.
Right. I
That
live in
way-
town now, so me and Lauren are a little more flexible. So Friday to Sunday, we can give us a heads up.
We'd like to, like, any of you $10 donors, we'd like to, like, talk to several of you in one day and get a little mini episode that we could post on Patreon, like a bonus
That would
episode,
be
discussions
awesome.
with listeners. That'd be cool.
That would be great. So maybe we'll put something on Twitter or something, and we'll see if we can accumulate a list of different
Right.
times or something.
Also, at True Crime Guys on Instagram, at True Crime Guys on Twitter. We have a Facebook page. Thank you, everyone that's liked that. Thank you, everyone that tweets and Instagrams photos of
Over
us. and all that
2,000
stuff.
likes and follows on Facebook, which
Yep.
is incredible. Thank you, guys.
Stickers. If you want our not our gold, but our normal Creep Van stickers or our Let's Go Do Cult Shit stickers, all you got to do is go to truecrimeguys.com, click at the top. It says stickers. Click on that.
Yep.
Donate a couple bucks or whatever, and we'll send you some stickers with a personalized note.
And make sure you get your address with it or whatever, if your PayPal account does not have it.
Right.
And anything else?
Couple of people that have done that in the last week. Rebecca
Oh, thanks, Rebecca.
and Karen. Thank you guys for buying stickers from us.
Nice. Yeah, I think a lot of the people who were buying stickers just became patrons.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, because like before we had Patreon, like a lot of people were buying stickers.
Right.
And then we're like, oh, people don't like us anymore. But it's not true. It's just we have Patreon.
Yeah.
So the real sticker holders
Right.
are on Patreon now.
The golden ones.
Right.
The golden creeps.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you are a Patreon member, that is not a $5 or above, so you just hit me up on Patreon or on Facebook, send a message or whatever.
Don't lie to
and-
us, though.
Yeah, don't.
We
well,
will check your credentials. We'll
know
see
what?
how much you've donated.
You know what? Just message me on Patreon, so I'll know. Because I don't want to do a bunch of investigative work.
Right.
So send
We
me
do
anything
enough of
on
that
there.
for the
Because
damn podcast.
I've noticed that there's a gap. There's a gap between like the $2, like so somebody didn't donate for stickers, but they give us money every month
Right.
that we would normally give somebody a sticker for, but they don't get any stickers. So that the $2 patrons are kind of caught in the middle. They don't get any stickers.
Yeah.
So hit me up and we'll get you some stickers if you want them, if you're a $2 patron.
Any
free.
Hey, we love you all. Whether you're freeloading son of a bitch that's listening to this and is
That's
not a
right.
patron, or if you're a patron that gives us money, we love you just as much.
Nope, we love you more.
More. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
All right.
Love you a little more.
That's right.
A little bit more. A little bit. You insulted him a little bit.
A little bit more. We don't want to insult them too much. Just a little bit.
All right. Also, our email is truecrimeguys@gmail.com. If you have
Yep.
any suggestions for episodes or whatever, we'll probably not do them, but you never know. Sometimes we
Right.
look them up and like, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, and send us
Some people get mad
corrections.
that we don't do their suggestions. I'm sorry, Sam Perry.
Sa-
Sorry, we haven't done your damn suggestion, okay?
yeah, goddamn it, quit bitching about
Someday
it.
we'll get around to it.
Or we might not because you made it a thing now.
Right.
It's kind of more fun to not do it now.
Yeah, no, I like saying, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's not do that. Fuck it. We love you, Sam.
Nah, Sam's our number one heckler and one of our best fans.
That'll be our last episode, Sam.
The very last one we did.
And then we won't
Sam.
post it. We'll just act like we recorded it. And
We gotta have a new lofty last episode now since we already did Bundy.
yeah.
Fuck that up already.
Once we do Jonestown, I'm done, man.
You're done.
Walking off into the
I
sunset.
was gonna say that after every Patreon episode.
Dude, you know how many people
After we
actually
do
believe?
OJ, I swear to God, I'm out.
You know how many people actually believe that we were quitting just because we joked about it
I
once?
know.
How gullible are you people?
People don't have good humor, but you are true crime.
Guys, you won't
fans,
believe
so
this. I hit the lottery. I'm quitting the podcast.
Dude, it got me.
I already bought like a giant commune.
Nice.
I'm having a bunch of people over for a Kool-Aid party next week.
Hell yeah.
It'll be fun.
Wait a minute.
People are now going to tweet us. Are you really?
Are you really
You at the
gonna-
lottery?
Is that what flavor?
I'll be there. I'll bring my cup.
I might come.
All right, guys, that's about it. I'm getting
Let's
wacky.
wrap this shit up.
All right, guys. Well, I'll see you next week if you're a Patreon member. If not, we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Yep.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy Blue Beer.
Yep.
Happy Two Tears.
Happy. Are you saying things that rhyme with New Year?
Jew beer.
Jew beer, yeah. We can go with that one, I guess.
Top beer. We think we're so funny. Damn chihuahuas.
Yeah, that's what.
Keep creeping.
A couple of ink bite us.
Later.